A flicker of lightning cuts through a stormy sky. Shadows stretch across empty streets. The faint sound of a heartbeat grows louder, echoing in the distance. A broken watch lies on the ground, its hands frozen in time. Voiceover. You thought you knew Landman, but nothing is as it seems. The screen cuts to black for a heartbeat. Then a whisper. Everything you expect is about to change. The screen fades in slowly to a quiet town at night. Fog rolls over empty streets. Streetlights flicker, casting long, distorted shadows. There is a sense that someone or something is watching. A hand appears, trembling, holding a torn piece of paper. The camera doesn't show the person's face, only the hand gripping the paper tightly. Voiceover. Season 2 begins with secrets. The kind that hide in plain sight. The kind that wait until the moment you least expect them. Suddenly, a window shatters in the distance. A flash of movement, fast, almost invisible, crosses the street. The sound of footsteps echoes, fast and uneven. A shadow moves along the wall, too quick to recognize. The heartbeat from the opening grows louder, faster, mixing with the sound of rain hitting the asphalt. Text overlay. Old truths will break. The camera pans across a deserted alley. A single flickering light reveals an object lying on the ground. A key, worn and rusted. Rain pours over it, making it glint briefly. The scene cuts to a close-up of a locked door. The key trembles in someone's hand, hesitant to turn. Voiceover. Some doors are meant to stay closed, but not this one. The camera quickly cuts to fragments of other scenes. A torn letter blowing in the wind, a car engine starting in the distance, a shadow disappearing around a corner. Each shot lasts barely a second, creating a sense of urgency and unease. Text overlay. Everything changes. In one moment. The heartbeat slows, then stops suddenly. Silence. Only the sound of the rain remains. Then a faint whisper. Are you ready? Cut to black. A single frame of lightning illuminates the title, Landman, Season 2. The rain has stopped, but the streets are slick and glistening under dim streetlights. Shadows stretch unnaturally, as if hiding secrets in every corner. A lone figure moves quickly through the mist, their footsteps echoing in empty alleys. The camera doesn't show the face, only glimpses of hands gripping objects, keys, papers, a flickering phone screen with a message that can't be read fully. The sense of urgency is palpable. Voiceover. Everything you thought was safe is about to shatter. Friends you trusted may not be who you think, and the world you knew is gone. The scene cuts rapidly between moments. A door slamming behind someone running. A newspaper spinning in the wind revealing only a few ominous words. A shadow passing under a flickering streetlight. Each image is brief, jagged, meant to confuse and intrigue. The viewer senses danger but doesn't see the source clearly. Text overlay. New threats are waiting. In the shadows. The camera shifts to a close-up of hands opening a locked drawer. Papers scattered to the ground. Among them, a photograph of people whose faces are blurred out, but one figure stands out, marked by a small red circle. A faint whisper follows. They're closer than you think. Cut to another quick scene. A car drives past a darkened forest road. Lightning illuminates a figure standing at the edge of the woods, unmoving. The figure watches the car, then disappears as quickly as it appeared. Rain starts again, dripping from the trees. The sound of the storm mixes with distant sirens, creating an unsettling cacophony. Voiceover. Some secrets don't stay buried, and some mistakes can't be undone. The visuals jump to a small, dimly lit room. Papers, books, and objects are scattered across a table. Shadows of movement are seen on the walls, like someone pacing nervously. A faint tremor shakes a cup of water, ripples spreading slowly across its surface. The camera pans to a locked chest in the corner. The key from Section 1 rests nearby, waiting to unlock what should remain hidden. Text overlay. Choices will be made that change everything. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a more chaotic montage. A door bursts open, objects flying across the room. A figure runs down a staircase, disappearing into darkness. A phone drops, screen cracking, revealing a blurred but urgent message. A hand reaches for a gun, trembling, uncertain. Each cut is accompanied by a sound effect, a loud bang, the squeak of shoes on wet pavement. a distant scream. The combination of quick cuts and tense audio creates the feeling of imminent danger. Voiceover. In Landman Season 2, no one is safe. Every move you make, every choice you take, will matter more than you think. The visuals slow slightly. A flickering candle in a dark room, a window rattling from an unseen wind, a hand writing a hurried message that simply says, "They know." The camera lingers on this for a heartbeat, drawing the viewer into the mystery. Text overlay. The truth is waiting. The montage picks up speed again. A masked figure steps into a shadowy corridor. A door slowly creaks open, revealing nothing but darkness. Close-up of a wristwatch ticking rapidly, the second hand moving faster than normal. A car skids to a stop on wet asphalt. A figure stumbles out clutching a bag. The heartbeat from Section 1 returns, now faster, louder, merging with rising orchestral tension. The sense of chaos and unpredictability grows. Voiceover. This isn't just the start of a season. It's the beginning of a storm you can't escape. The visuals cut to extreme close-ups of small, ordinary objects that now feel ominous. A cracked mirror reflecting a dark hallway. A pair of shoes abandoned in the rain, a newspaper headline partially visible. Disappears. The viewer senses that every ordinary object might hide a deadly secret. Text overlay. Expect the unexpected. Or be left behind. The section ends with a brief silence. Rain drips steadily in the background. A single frame shows a shadowy figure standing under a streetlight. Slowly, the figure raises a hand, not in greeting, but in warning. The screen cuts to black. Voiceover whispering, "The game has begun, and the first move is yours." The night has grown colder. Fog rolls through the streets like a living presence, swallowing the dim light of street lamps. The camera pans over abandoned alleys strewn with broken objects, a tipped-over bicycle, shattered glass, a newspaper caught in the wind. Every sound feels amplified, the scraping of metal, the distant hum of a siren, a dog barking far away. The atmosphere is tense, heavy, as though the air itself is holding its breath. Voiceover. Just when you think you understand, everything changes. The calm is only the eye of the storm. The scene cuts to a narrow corridor inside a dimly lit building. Shadows cling to the corners, moving as if alive. A pair of hands trembles, reaching for a locked door. The key from previous sections turns slowly in the lock. The door creaks open, revealing a room empty except for a single object in the center, a small sealed envelope. The camera lingers on the envelope, the edges slightly charred, the wax seal cracked. Text overlay. Some truths are too dangerous to touch. Suddenly, the camera cuts sharply to a street scene. A car skids around a corner, tires screeching on wet asphalt. Inside, a blurred figure clutches the steering wheel, eyes wide with fear. Lightning flashes, revealing a shadow standing in the middle of the road. The driver swerves. The screen splits into rapid flashes, a hand reaching for a phone that is slipping from a wet hand. A door slamming open behind someone running, a letter being torn in half by an unseen force. Voiceover. In Landman, nothing is accidental. Every step, every choice, leads to consequences you cannot undo. The tension intensifies. The camera pans through a dimly lit room where papers and photographs cover the floor. Red strings connect names and faces. A flickering light overhead illuminates a photograph, a familiar face, someone we thought safe, now crossed out in red. The heartbeat that has been underlying the trailer grows louder, faster, almost deafening. Text overlay. Trust no one, and fear what you cannot see. A loud crash interrupts the silence. The camera cuts to a narrow alleyway where a shadowy figure is thrown against the wall by an unseen force. Rain pours down in sheets, dripping from rooftops and forming small puddles on the cobblestones. The figure struggles to stand but vanishes into the darkness, leaving only a fleeting shadow. Voiceover whispering urgently, "They are closer than you know." Watching, waiting, striking when you least expect it. The scene shifts to a dimly lit office. Papers swirl in the air as if carried by a storm, though the windows are closed. On a desk lies a blinking phone. A message appears. It's too late. The camera lingers on the screen, the words pulsating as the sound of a clock ticking grows louder and faster. Each tick echoes like a countdown, creating a sense of unavoidable fate. Text overlay: every secret will be revealed. Quick cuts follow. A shadow disappears behind a corner, leaving only a smear of blood. A hand drops a photograph into a puddle. The water ripples, distorting the faces. A door opens slowly, revealing darkness beyond. A pair of eyes blink rapidly in fear, reflected in a cracked mirror. Voiceover: the first move has been made, but the game has only just begun. The montage speeds up, creating a feeling of chaos and urgency. A car swerves off the road, hitting a puddle, water spraying like a curtain. A door bursts open, slamming against the wall with a deafening crash. A figure runs through a hallway, footsteps echoing, shadows flickering on the walls. A hand reaches for a mysterious package. The contents remain unseen, but the camera focuses on the trembling fingers. A sudden silence hits. Rain continues to fall, but the world seems frozen. The camera slowly zooms in on a pair of shoes lying abandoned on the street. No one is around. The sound of a heartbeat resumes, slow at first, then rapidly increasing. Voiceover in a low, chilling tone. And then, the twist you never saw coming. The screen cuts to black. A single flash of lightning reveals a masked figure standing over a fallen character, their face hidden but their presence undeniable. The screen cuts again to black before the viewer can see more. The silence that follows is deafening. Text overlay, fading in slowly. Season 2, Episode 1. Not what you expect. A faint whisper echoes, "You thought you were ready." But no one is ever ready for Landman. The section ends with a long, dramatic pause. The sound of distant thunder rolls through the black screen, leaving the viewer tense and craving more. The darkness stretches across the city like a living shadow, swallowing everything in its path. Rain continues to fall, heavier now, pattering against rooftops and puddles with relentless intensity. Streetlights flicker violently, casting long, fractured shadows across cracked sidewalks. The camera drifts through these streets slowly, as if floating, revealing glimpses of chaos: an overturned trash can, a splintered wooden bench, a newspaper caught in a swirl of wind. Voiceover: nothing stays hidden forever. And every secret has a price. The camera cuts to a narrow stairwell inside a dilapidated building. Shadows cling to the walls, moving as though alive. A faint, flickering light reveals a pair of hands tracing a message written in red across the concrete. They know where you are. The hands tremble. The camera doesn't reveal the face, only the hands and the urgency of the action. Text overlay: fear is not the enemy. Ignorance is. Suddenly, a loud crash breaks the silence. A door bursts open somewhere off-screen. A figure runs down a corridor, footsteps echoing with desperate intensity. Quick flashes show fragments of movement, a silhouette ducking behind a corner. A hand gripping a door handle, pulling with strength. A flickering screen showing a countdown timer with no explanation. Shadows racing across walls like phantoms. Voiceover, urgent and low. Every choice, every step, leads you closer to the truth. Or to danger. The montage accelerates. The camera jumps between locations: an abandoned warehouse where rain leaks through the broken roof, puddles reflecting distorted shadows. A street at night where a car skids to a stop, tires splashing water violently. A darkened room where a package sits on a table, untouched, ominous, waiting. Hands shaking as they type a message on a cracked phone screen. "We need to leave." Now text overlay: the storm is coming. And it doesn't wait. The heartbeat that is threaded through the trailer returns, faster and louder than before. Each beat synchronizes with flashes of light, shadow, and movement. A door slams open violently. Objects tumble to the floor. A fleeting glimpse of a figure, just a shadow in the rain, pauses at the end of a hallway, their presence sinister and unreadable. Voiceover whispering with tension. In Landman Season 2, Episode 1, even the familiar can betray you. The scene slows. A candle flickers in the corner of a dark room, casting long, distorted shadows. A hand reaches for it, and as the fingers graze the wax, the flame flares dramatically, illuminating. A photograph pinned to the wall. Faces blurred, one circled in red. A diary lying open with words partially legible. "They'll never forgive me." A small sealed envelope sitting on a shelf, ominous and untouched. The candlelight trembles. the shadows dancing with every flicker. Then a sudden blackout. The camera plunges into darkness. Silence. Only the sound of rapid, uneven breathing remains. A door creaks somewhere far off. A faint light glows under the crack. The camera pans slowly toward it, suspense building with each frame. The heartbeat grows, faster and louder, echoing like a warning. The door begins to open, text overlay, appearing letter by letter. The first secret. Revealed. Suddenly the door bursts open. Lightning flashes outside, illuminating a figure in the doorway. The figure's face is hidden. Their presence is commanding, terrifying. The camera shakes slightly, mimicking fear. Rain splashes violently as the figure steps forward, slow and deliberate. Voiceover, almost a whisper. And when the truth comes, it will change everything. Quick montage of chaos follows. Papers flying through a dark office. Hands trembling over a phone. A shadow disappearing around a corner. A figure running, breath ragged, from an unseen danger. A flickering light revealing a wall covered in red strings connecting faces, names, and events. Text overlay, expect the unexpected. Or face the consequences. The montage cuts to black. Silence. Rain is still audible, but the tension is almost unbearable. A faint whisper echoes, "It's too late to turn back." Then a single frame flashes, a pair of eyes staring directly at the camera, wide with fear, full of unsaid truths. A hand reaches out, trembling. The edges of a torn envelope peek from a pocket, the contents unknown. Voiceover, chilling and low. This is not what you expect. And it's only the beginning. The screen goes completely black. A single clap of thunder explodes, followed by a faint echo. Silence, except for the sound of a dripping faucet. The screen slowly fades in with text. Landman, Season 2, Episode 1. Coming soon. The heartbeat fades out gradually, leaving the viewer suspended in tension, waiting for the release. The rain falls relentlessly, turning the city streets into reflective mirrors of dim light and shadow. Puddles ripple as unseen footsteps press through them, their echoes stretching unnaturally down empty alleys. Streetlights flicker sporadically, casting distorted patterns that seem almost alive, crawling along the walls like black veins. A distant siren wails, fading in and out, accompanied by the soft hum of neon signs buzzing in the wet night. Every corner feels dangerous, every shadow a potential threat. The camera glides slowly, almost like it's floating through the mist, revealing glimpses of abandoned objects, a toppled bicycle, broken glass glittering like scattered stars, a torn newspaper page fluttering in the wind, its headline partially legible, hinting at chaos, disappears. The scene cuts abruptly to a narrow stairwell inside a decrepit building. Shadows cling to the walls, moving subtly, almost imperceptibly, as though watching and waiting. A faint flicker of light reveals a pair of hands tracing red letters across the concrete. They know where you are. The hands tremble, fingers brushing the rough surface, hesitant, yet compelled. The camera lingers on the tension, the subtle anxiety, without ever showing the face of the person, keeping the viewer guessing. Suddenly, a deafening crash pierces the silence. A door bursts open somewhere just out of frame. A shadow darts through a corridor, barely visible, movements jerky and urgent. The camera cuts quickly to fragmented images, a phone slipping from wet hands, a letter torn in half by invisible force, footsteps pounding down a staircase, a flickering countdown timer on a screen. The sequence is rapid, almost disorienting, designed to put the viewer on edge, mimicking the chaos unfolding unseen. Voiceover, urgent and low. Every step, every choice leads closer to the truth, or deeper into danger. The montage intensifies. The camera jumps between locations, an abandoned warehouse where rain leaks through the broken roof, forming puddles that reflect distorted shadows of unseen figures. A dimly lit street where a car skids violently, water splashing like curtains. A darkened room where a small package sits untouched, ominous in the center of a dusty table. Trembling hands typing a frantic message on a cracked phone screen. We need to leave. Now. Each image pulses with unease, each shadow suggesting that someone or something is always just out of sight, watching, waiting. The familiar heartbeat returns, stronger and faster, almost deafening. Each beat aligns with flashes of shadow, movement, and sudden bursts of light. A door slams open violently in one frame, objects scattering in chaotic silence. A fleeting glimpse of a figure in the rain pauses at the end of a corridor, then moves forward deliberately, their presence commanding yet terrifying, their face hidden in shadow. Voiceover, whispering with tension. Even the familiar can betray you, in ways you never imagined. Time seems to distort as the scene slows. A single candle flickers in a dark corner, its light dancing across the walls, elongating shadows into grotesque forms. A hand reaches for the candle. The wax flares as it is touched, illuminating fragments of a wall covered in photographs. Faces are blurred, but one stands out, circled in red. A diary lies open nearby, pages fluttering as if moved by an invisible breeze, revealing half-legible words. "They'll never forgive me." A small sealed envelope sits on a shelf, untouched, ominous, drawing the viewer's eye with an almost magnetic tension. The candlelight wavers, and shadows seem to stretch, merge, and retreat with each flicker. Then, without warning, everything goes black. Silence descends, thick and suffocating, leaving only the sound of uneven, rapid breathing. A distant door creaks, the faint glow of light slipping underneath. The camera moves slowly toward it, tension mounting with each frame. The heartbeat quickens, echoing like a warning that danger is imminent and no one is safe. The storm has reached its peak. Rain lashes violently against rooftops, streets shine with reflection, and the occasional flash of lightning reveals fleeting glimpses of empty alleyways, abandoned cars, and shadows that seem to move on their own. The camera glides over the city as though it is a silent observer, capturing the chaos from above, revealing how small and vulnerable every figure seems amidst the relentless storm. A distant howl of wind cuts through the night, mingling with the low rumble of thunder, creating a sense that something enormous is approaching, something unseen but unstoppable. Voiceover. Low and deliberate, the world you knew no longer exists. Every corner hides a secret, every shadow holds a threat, and every choice could be your last. The camera shifts to a narrow corridor inside a forgotten building. Flickering lights cast shadows that twist unnaturally along cracked walls. A pair of hands tremble as they reach for a door handle. The door creaks open, revealing nothing but darkness inside. A single object sits in the center of the room, a small envelope, its seal unbroken. Rain leaks through the ceiling, dripping steadily onto the floorboards. The hands hover, hesitant, aware that opening this envelope could change everything, yet compelled by the need to know the truth. Text overlay. Some secrets demand to be uncovered. Suddenly, rapid cuts explode across the screen, creating a sense of chaos and urgency. A shadow disappears into an alley as a car speeds by, splashing water in all directions. A flickering phone screen displays the message. It's too late. Hands slam a diary shut, red ink smeared across the page as though hurriedly hidden from prying eyes. A figure runs through a darkened hall, breath ragged, footsteps echoing like warning bells. Voiceover, urgent. In Landman, trust is a dangerous illusion. Every face could hide betrayal, every corner could hide disaster, and the line between friend and enemy is gone. The visuals slow for a moment, allowing tension to settle like a physical weight. A flickering candle illuminates a photograph on a wall, a familiar figure circled in red. The camera lingers, emphasizing the gravity of what is at stake. Water drips from the ceiling, each drop echoing loudly in the stillness, marking the passage of time. Shadows move subtly across the walls, suggesting that the building itself is alive, watching, waiting. Text overlay. Time is running out. The heartbeat that is threaded through the trailer grows louder, faster, almost painful in its intensity. It aligns with rapid flashes of images, a door swinging open violently, revealing only darkness. A hand dropping a torn photograph into a puddle. The water ripples, distorting the faces into unrecognizable forms. A masked figure moving silently through a hallway, steps deliberate and unnerving. Papers swirl in the air, caught by wind from an unseen source, carrying secrets across the floor. Voiceover, almost a whisper, chilling in its tone. The first move has been made. But the game has only begun. The storm outside intensifies. Lightning illuminates a figure standing on a rooftop, face obscured, coat flapping in the wind. The figure pauses, surveying the city below, as though calculating the next move in a dangerous game no one can escape. Rain pelts down, soaking everything in sight, blending sound and shadow into a tense, almost unbearable symphony of suspense. The camera cuts to a series of extreme close-ups, eyes wide with fear reflected in a cracked mirror. Hands shaking as they type a desperate message. "We can't run anymore." A small sealed envelope torn slightly, hinting at secrets already uncovered but not yet revealed. A clock ticking rapidly, the seconds stretching unnaturally as if time itself is bending to the tension. Text overlay. The storm is only beginning. The montage accelerates into chaos. Doors slam, objects fall, shadows dart, hands tremble, and the heartbeat merges with thunder, rain, and distant screams. The screen cuts intermittently to black, leaving the viewer disoriented, tense, and eager to see more. In one frame, lightning reveals a masked figure raising a hand, but the action is ambiguous. Warning? Threat? Ally? The mystery deepens. Voiceover, low and echoing, almost a whisper against the storm. Nothing is what it seems, and everyone will be tested. Finally, the camera pans over the empty streets, rain falling, puddles reflecting fragmented light. A single figure stands alone under a streetlight, shadows stretching far behind them. Slowly, the figure raises a hand, not a greeting, but a silent warning. The wind picks up, carrying the faintest whisper. "It's coming!" The screen cuts to black. Silence. A heartbeat lingers faintly, fading into nothing. Then, in stark white letters, the text appears on the screen. Landman, Season 2, Episode 1. Coming soon, a final whisper, almost imperceptible, echoes, "Are you ready for what's waiting?" The trailer ends in silence, leaving the viewer suspended in tension, heart racing, craving answers, and anticipating the first episode. Every shadow, every sound, and every glimpse of movement in this section has built a sense of unavoidable suspense, mystery, and danger, ensuring the audience is hooked and eager to witness the full story. The city has fallen into a deeper darkness. Rain still pours, but now it sounds heavier, almost like the sky itself is warning the world. Reflections ripple across the wet streets, distorted and broken, mirroring the chaos hidden just beyond the viewer's perception. Shadows seem to move independently, stretching unnaturally across walls and puddles, twisting and curling as if alive. A lone streetlight flickers, intermittently revealing fragments of objects, a pair of shoes abandoned in haste, a broken umbrella, a newspaper page pinned to the ground by a wet stone. Every object tells a story of hurried escapes, secrets left behind, and threats lurking just out of sight. Voiceover. In Landman, the shadows are never empty, and the silence is never safe. The camera glides down an alley, mist curling around a dumpster, smoke rising from a distant vent. A hand appears from the darkness, clutching an old photograph. The edges are worn, waterlogged, and partially torn. The image is obscured, the face is blurred, but the tension is undeniable. The hand trembles, as if holding something both precious and dangerous. Suddenly, a sound slices through the scene, glass breaking somewhere off-screen. The hand drops the photograph, letting it flutter to the ground, spinning in the wind like a warning. Text overlay. Every truth has a shadow. The camera cuts to a dimly lit interior. Papers and objects are strewn across a table. Letters, photographs, an old key, a diary partially open. A flickering lamp casts shadows across the room, making every object look sinister, as if they hold secrets that should never be discovered. The camera zooms slowly toward a locked drawer in the corner. The key from earlier sections rests on the table, gleaming faintly. The viewer knows that opening it will reveal something monumental, but the contents remain a mystery. Voiceover. Some doors should never be opened, but curiosity has a cost. A montage begins, quick and disorienting. A shadow darts across a staircase. Footsteps pound in the distance. A hand reaches for a ringing phone, the screen cracked, the caller unknown. A figure stumbles through a rain-soaked alley, water splashing with each hurried step. Letters scatter in the wind, one revealing a partial word. Betrayal. A window rattles violently, though no wind can be seen, suggesting a presence unseen, waiting, watching. The heartbeat sound from earlier sections returns, louder and more insistent. merging with the patter of heavy rain and the distant rumble of thunder. The tension builds, almost unbearable, drawing the viewer into the narrative without showing a single face. Every cut is designed to tease danger, mystery, and unexpected revelations. Text overlay. What you see is only the beginning. The scene slows dramatically. A candle flickers in the corner of a darkened room, shadows stretching across the walls. On a table lies a sealed envelope, the one that has appeared in glimpses throughout the trailer. Its presence is ominous, unavoidable. A hand reaches for it, trembling slightly, then pauses. Outside, lightning flashes, illuminating a shadow in the doorway. The figure remains faceless, indistinct, but their presence is commanding, threatening, and enigmatic. Voiceover low and chilling. The end of this episode is only the start of the storm. Rapid, fragmented cuts continue. A pair of eyes blink rapidly in fear, reflecting flickering candlelight. A shadow disappears around a corner. Water drips from a broken pipe, echoing in a vast, empty room. A message on a cracked phone screen appears and disappears in seconds. They're here. A hand hovers over a stack of papers, finally selecting one, but the content is never revealed. The montage slows again. The camera moves down an empty street, rain cascading in sheets, reflections of neon lights trembling in puddles. In the distance, a shadowy figure stands under a streetlight, unmoving. The camera slowly zooms in, the figure's identity still hidden. Then a subtle movement. A head turns just slightly, a hand twitches. The viewer is left suspended, wondering whether this is friend or foe. Text overlay, appearing letter by letter. Nothing is as it seems. And nothing will prepare you. Suddenly the screen cuts to black. The rain continues, the heartbeat fades into silence, and a whisper, barely audible, drifts across the audio. Are you ready for what comes next? The final frame appears. Landman, Season 2, Episode 1.